would you feel if familiar faces no longer held a name? A place you've always lived becomes a place you no longer know. When asked what year it is and your answer is 9 years prior. This is my reality. I am the caregiver of my 77-year-old grandfather who has Alzheimer's. I will take the next few minutes to explain the signs, symptoms, effects, and struggles that take place in the life of someone with Alzheimer's. Sadly, a lot of people know what this disease is, but have no idea the full impact it has on everyone and steps to either help or prepare for the just-in-case moments. I am living in an Alzheimer's world. February 2006, a date I'll never forget. Although I did not know it yet, that was the start of a whole new life for me. I woke up to a freezing cold house, which was strange since my grandfather got 100 gallons of oil the day before. I walk out back to a yard full of oil. My grandfather pulled the drain plug in the tank thinking he was draining water. This was the first of many more signs to follow. Next was phone calls of being lost. This man who raised me never admitted to being lost in 24 years. Then came the misplacing items, forgetting water boiling on the stove, mixing up names, and becoming messy. He had all the symptoms: memory loss, difficulty completing tasks, confusion, misplacing things, and changes in his mood. Even though there were red flags, I always had an excuse as to why all this happened other than the obvious. Family always goes through denial. Mishaps and signs of his memory failing went on and slowly got worse. Summer of 2008 was the moment my fear became reality. As I sat and watched the memory test, tears formed in my eyes. His doctor asked what year it was. His answer was 2005. She asked where he lived. His answer was Exeter, an address we hadn't been at for 3 years. The questions kept coming, along with the wrong answers that all led back to 2005. At that moment, I was too emotional to piece it together, but not long after, I realized his wife of 49 years died February of 2005. It was that day his life not only stopped, but so did his memory. Although there isn't much answers on the disease, it is said that a traumatic event can trigger it. From that day forth, we were living in an Alzheimer's world. Suddenly, it all becomes clear. You start thinking back on instances that happened that you should have realized there was a problem. This is the point where families grieve, knowing the hardships and pain that inevitably awaits. You cry, reminisce memories, laugh, and hug them a little tighter. It seems once you hear the diagnosis, things start happening faster. This is where the stages come into play. There are 7. Stage 1 is no impairment. Although sounds self-explanatory, it is actually a stage because although there are no signs, the brain has been affected and can go on undetected for years prior to surfacing. Stage 2, very mild decline. The person may feel they are having memory lapses, forgetting very familiar things. Stage 3, mild cognitive decline. Friends and family notice difficulties. Doctors may be able to detect problems in memory. Stage 4, moderate decline. A medical interview should be able to detect clear-cut symptoms such as impaired ability to count backwards, forgetfulness of recent events, forget personal information, and becoming moody. Stage 5, moderately severe decline. Unable to recall address, what day it is, are confused at what and where they are. Stage 6, severe cognitive decline. Needs help dressing, major changes in sleep pattern, frequent trouble controlling bladder, wander and become lost, and personality changes. And lastly, stage 7, very severe decline. In this final stage, individuals lose ability to respond to environment, carry on a conversation, and eventually control movement. They need full-time help with everything. My grandfather is currently at stage 6, which is correct in medical timeline. It says on average, people only live about 8 to 10 years with it, and he has been 9. It is at this stage that puts strain on families and relationships. For example, my grandfather is a safety risk, so we turn the breaker off to the stove, unplug the microwave, and hide the toaster. Child-proof locks are installed on all cabinets and child handles on the doors that lead outside. Most food goes in the basement fridge as he likes to mix his own recipes of anything he finds, like sour cream and cereal, for one example. He's acquired quite the sweet tooth since being diagnosed. He will steal anyone's candy he can find. When asked, he will deny it like a child, even with empty wrappers in front of him. Needless to say, specific meals are left out on purpose. His safety is always a concern. Our walls are decorated with fluorescent cardboard pointing him to the bathroom and where his room is. Visiting guests never need to ask where the bathroom is located. Although we often try to find comedic relief out of the situation, there's many times it brings tension and stress. In a normal relationship, the significant other and children come first. That is not the case when you're caring for someone with Alzheimer's. Money is also another issue. Medications, doctor appointments, food, and paying a nurse to come into the house to help. Although this stuff is pricey, one thing we are thankful for are the free programs we found. One, for example, is the Just In Case program. The police have my grandfather's picture and information, so if he were to ever wander off, they would know who to contact. Another program is called Meals on Wheels. It's individuals who volunteer their time each day and deliver hot lunches to elderlies at home. These programs are very helpful to families like mine. One minute you think everything is fine, and the next you're seeking help from these programs. It shows you how fast life can change. That was my eye-opener. Caregivers have one of the hardest jobs. However, the way I look at it is, he was mine for 24 years, now I've been his for 6. I say it is the hardest job for many reasons. Try to picture your loved one going through the stages I've mentioned. My grandfather is my hero, my everything. He was the hardest working man I knew, served in the Air Force for 20 years, and then out of nowhere, he's gone. You watch the person you love most slip away, and there's nothing you can do about it. TV personality Leza Gibbons said it best. Caring for an Alzheimer's patient is a situation that can utterly consume the lives and well-being of the people giving care, just as the disorder consumes its victims. That is my reality. Sometimes the demands and attention it takes gets to be a lot. Many times you question if you do enough. What more can you do? Remembering to be patient because this is not their fault. Reminding yourself they need you and don't mean to be difficult. We have good and bad days. Some he doesn't remember names. He yells at the kids, throws dishes in the trash, and loses his glasses. Then the next day, he will be laughing and telling stories of the past. Every day is a fresh start, and you don't know what to expect. You come to a point where you realize the person you love and once knew has already died, and you are caring for another version of them. Just another sad realization in an Alzheimer's world. Well, what is there left for me to say? 5.4 million people have Alzheimer's, and my grandfather is one of them. It is irreversible and inevitably will take his life. Unfortunately, the statistics show it to get much worse in the years to come. I hope no one in this room will ever have to know what it is like to have Alzheimer's in your life one way or another. Alzheimer's is an unforgiving thief that steals everything from you. If you take anything out of my story, I hope it's to prepare for what can happen and understand the signs you might not want to accept. There is no cure, but if everyone helps donate for research and spreads the word for awareness, maybe one day there will be a breakthrough and our kids won't have to worry about it. Although this has been a difficult situation, Alzheimer's has taught me not to take life for granted. Appreciate the small things as time goes by really fast. Our memories aren't promised, so cherish them as long as you can. When our time comes and our dates are on the tombstone, it's not the first or last date that's important. It's the dash in between that symbolizes all the life between those years. Make your dash count, and that is my story of living in an Alzheimer's world. Thank you.